Good evening, everyone. We welcome you again to Thursday Faith Refresher. So, we have just finished learning about the first three commandments. So, these commandments were all about love and worship of God. We learned how to love God with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. Today, we begin with the commandments that call us to love God through our neighbor. And our first and foremost neighbor are the members of our family, particularly our parents. The fourth commandment especially highlights the duty of children, whether young or adult, toward their parents. Honor your father and mother. So, is honor equivalent to obedience? How about when one has a hurtful parent? Are we obliged to take care of our aging parents? We hope to answer these questions and more as Father JP walks us through the reflections on this commandment. We will have a short review on the class on the third commandment also with Father. So we hope you can join us in that portion, which we call Hand Me Your Answer. Father JP.
Thank you, Ellen, for the introduction. As we always do, let's begin with a prayer. We have there the image of Our Lady. We are very close to a feast day of hers. This is the Assumption on Sunday. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Pray for us sinners.
Now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Amen.
Saint Gabriel,
pray
for us. Saint Paul, pray for us.
Pray for us.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I begin now the lecture for the fourth commandment of this Thursday Faith Refresher series. So, first slide I have here, we used actually for the prayer of the Blessed Mother, is a quote from Saint Jose Maria Escriva. So he said that the fourth commandment is actually the most sweet precept. He said it's the most sweet precept because there are natural tendencies for us from our hearts to really love our parents. It's natural for us to be so connected to them. We are indebted to them. We owe them many things. And by extension, to all the authorities. Because of that connection we have with our parents, Saint Josemaria always dedicated a lot of catechesis, a lot of lectures, a lot of get-togethers and speeches about this most sweet precept. Latter years, the last years of his life in the 1970s, he kept on talking about these bright and cheerful homes that all the Opus Dei members, supernumeraries, and operators could spread all over the world, in Latin America and beyond. And that's why this lesson that we have today, this lesson we have right now is very important. Maybe we cannot go out for the majority of us because of the closure of certain enterprise businesses. Maybe we also miss the church. We also miss going to the parish church or to the chapels or to whatever place of worship. But we keep in mind that the Lord, indirectly wanting this, is telling us many things during this lockdown. He's telling us, first and foremost, perhaps, that we can continue building these domestic churches that He has provided. And these are the homes. These are the houses of yours and of mine. And in doing so, in obeying and fulfilling the fourth commandment with all its details and nuances, we are able to build churches that will be foundational for the building of Christ's kingdom here in this world. So the first three commandments, there are 10, there's 3 commandments, pointed toward this. To love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. In the first 3 commandments, He's asking us to adore Him exclusively, to honor His name, and to make holy the days He has provided. Sunday and other holy days of obligation. Now, in the last 7 commandments, this is like the second of the two tablets that were handed on to Moses, we discover that Jesus Christ's words, love of neighbor, becomes fulfilled in detail. And he's speaking about the love of neighbor first and foremost with the most protected bond that he has given to each person. And this is the bond between children and their parents. So it's the first of the second tablet. The first of the commandments about love of neighbor is love, honor for our parents. The commandment goes thus, based on Exodus and based on Deuteronomy's copy, honor thy mother and thy father. Obviously, the church would elaborate later on the many other relationships we have towards people in authority. I itemize them one by one here. So we are all children of people who engendered us, or parents, those who gave us, who bore us, parents, or parents. And in the commandment explicitly is talking about this, for the children to love and honor their parents. However, the church extends this to everyone who is authoritative in the family. The commandment for the fourth commandment also includes love for our grandparents, love for grandmother, grandfather, love for my uncle, love for my aunt. And also, if you would try to study, because in some cases, the authority also falls on the older brothers, it's also love for the older brother. Since the majority of us, almost all of us, not almost all of us, underwent some schooling, and there's the teachers, there are these people who have been entrusted the care for our education. As students, we also have to respect them, honor them. So it doesn't only talk about, strictly speaking, honoring one's parents alone. It also includes the honor for teachers. Teachers, very important, because if the kids right now, many times, fall into some disrespect against teachers. No, anyway. And since we are not only members of a family, but members of a nation or a state, it also includes, as citizens, a respect for those in civil authority. I would call them statesmen. Statesmen. People who are representing the state. That includes from the council, barangay councilor or tanod, no, until the highest office in the country, the president. Last but not the least, because we are also members of a body, Christ's body, the body of Christ, the church, it also encompasses or also includes this love of ours as faithful members of the church towards the authority. Okay? However, when we talk about the fourth commandment, there's a presupposition. And I proceed with the next slide. So this commandment presupposes, meaning it needs that parents also love and respect their children. Now, I say this because the 100 participants, or 99, 98, or many of you are called to fulfill that role of loving those that God entrusted to you, not only to give birth, but to procreate, but also to educate. So the commandment also talks about the parents' love for the child, the authoritative king's love for the same, honor, respect, and etc. The teacher for the student, the civil authorities to the citizen, and the church's authority to the faithful. And we will discuss today what are those things in terms of duties do we need to know, do we need to accomplish so that we could fulfill this commandment. Now, many of us, all of us, are children. And definitely we will talk about the duties of children to their parents. A great majority are parents. And we will also talk about the parents' duties to their children. All of us are members of the state. And we will also talk about our duties to statesmen, and also because all of us are members, and then as members of the church, our duties towards the hierarchy. Okay, when we talk about this, the fourth commandment, there is an underlying definition of family, of the family here. And our catechism, meaning that book that contains the summary of our faith, published in 1992, has wonderful insights about what exactly is this domestic church. What is the family? I used mnemonics so that you can remember what the family are, some easy takeaways for this class now. So the Catechism of the Catholic Church, point 2202, highlights that we consider the family as the union of the male and the female who promise themselves in a lifetime covenant. So this is the marriage, or this is the married man and the woman. I clarify because there are, when you say there's a married man and a woman together, that already is a family. Okay, because some people think, well, since we don't have children, we are not a family. No, you are a family already. Now, and together with the man and the woman, all those who were entrusted to them, the mother gives birth, not the children. Okay, but the marriage between the man and the woman is already make up or constitute already the family, as the Catechism has mentioned. Point 2203, the next point of the Catechism, tells us in the fundamental constitution, this is actually willed by God. It's very important to realize this. There are many implications when we know that this is given to us by God, this family that we have. Whether there are people in the family who are not of your preference, whether there is a quote-unquote black sheep in the family, whether there are people there who have hurt you already, regardless, these persons around you whom God has placed beside you or for you in the relation of blood are actually willed by Him, instituted by God in His fundamental constitution. I forced this a bit, no? When we think of the family, we're thinking of communion of persons, unity of persons, that they're united together, it's an amalgam, association of a different kind. And it's interesting because when we talk about communion of persons, this is actually the most innate call of man. This is his purpose. He has to be in communion with the others because he has to pattern his whole life towards the communion of persons in God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So it's interesting that this communion is God-given and is called to participate in the communion that is existing in God Himself. And then last point of the Catechism that I highlight here is point 2207. It is the original cell, the first cell. When you say cell, first part of social life. Now, people these days, they clamor for socialization. How can I socialize? Well, let's see first if we are socializing inside the first cell or the original cell of society, the family. And aside from being society's first portion or first and most basic part, this is where people give each other, give themselves to one another. It started with a gift of oneself in marriage, the husband to the wife and vice versa, and they give themselves to each other in an act called the conjugal act. It produces children, and the basis of relationship is really gift. And everything in a marriage, everything in family is always fruitful, therefore. It speaks of a relationship of life in love, not of utility. Unlike in business, you get somebody, you hire somebody when he or she is efficient, productive, and of good use to the company. In marriage and in family, it's not the case. You value the person for who he is. The same in marriage and also in family relationships. Everybody is accepted in life and in love. And so, just to recap, what is the family? Well, it's the first cell of social life by which there's a communion of persons constituted by the man and the woman plus children, if God gives them. It is willed by him, called to life, called to love, in which that is based on yielding, on the giving of oneself. So it's beautiful. These points of the Catechism, it already speaks of, you would say, that gift of God for us, which is the family. I proceed to another portion. This time, it's about the duties that we have in relation to family life. You can see now the slide. This is my duties. I mentioned earlier that we want to zero in this class, in this lecture, what exactly do I have to do to my parents? What exactly for me, for those parents, should I do to my children, to the priests or the pastors of my soul, the pastors assigned, church, hierarchy, and to those civil authorities governing my state or my nation. So first, so this is my duties. It is enumeration of sorts. First, the duties towards parents. So just to mention, duties actually come from due. These are the things that are due for the others because of the ties that bind us to them. So the parents first. Okay, what are my duties towards my parents? I summarize this into 3. And it's good to ask ourselves, also as children, whether we are somehow thinking of all these. I'm sure you do. GPA. Whether do I give joy to them? That's my duty also. To my parents, I have to pray for them because I owe them a lot. And I have to appreciate everything that they gave me. When you say appreciate, it refers to the life that they gave me, something that I cannot give back. The P has to be highlighted. P is prayer. The duty of children is to pray for their parents so that they can be good parents and good persons at that. G stands for give joy. Now, that one is not easy. Now, by existing, by being ourselves, ordinarily, parents are already happy. Now, we give joy to them by being good persons. Well, we can try to be successful as well, but sometimes the Lord doesn't allow that, doesn't give us those gifts that we want to, the human success. But to be good persons, virtuous ones, already naturally could give them joy. And then A is to be very appreciative. Appreciative of everything they have given us, which includes life. When we talk about relationship between children and parents, we cannot talk about justice because our parents gave us life, and that is something we cannot give back to them. Okay, so the life is given that they gave to us. We have to be grateful for that. The love, the affection, and also, last but not the least, the words they have mentioned to us. Although sometimes, as children, we got irritated a lot of times regarding those advice. So that in being appreciative, we could increase continuously in wisdom, stature, and grace as they have accompanied us with. We owe them a lot. And sometimes, I was mentioning this also earlier, sometimes it's indirect. Sometimes it's through other instruments that they have entrusted. Okay? But nevertheless, we have to be appreciative of all they have done to us. So to give joy, GPA, to pray for them, and to appreciate. The letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians highlights that why do we have to order them? The foundation is actually divine, no? And this is from God. So their parentage, their parenthood, their fatherhood, their motherhood comes from the Creator Himself. So the foundation is quite deep. It's theological. It's God Himself who has entrusted this man and this woman to be your, you would say, leader, to be the person assigned to you, to form you. It's manifested by or through this obedience. The obedience or the docility. And this is important, especially to the younger generation. The way we obey them, we submit our will to the things that my parents prefer, to what they want, which is normally what is good for me. And for us who are grown children already, in the moral and material support, in as much as we can. You know, the Catechism also highlights this. Now, we have to support our parents in the moral plane, meaning if they are depressed, if they are sick, if they feel alone, we have to accompany them. Likewise, in the material need, there's a limit here, the will of God. Meaning, over and above our parents, if the foundation of their authority is God, then they cannot contradict God. They cannot tell their children, they cannot tell us something that is not good for us, something that is wrong, something that is sinful. Or they cannot dissuade us, they don't have the authority to dissuade us from following a path that is for ourselves. For example, the vocation. The vocation towards a particular status in life. If somebody wants to become a priest, a religious, or a celibate, with all freedom, the parents have to leave them because that's not anymore under their competence. Likewise, in the choice of spouse, they can always advise, they can always recommend, they can always pinpoint certain things. But at the end of the day, the choice of who somebody will marry depends on the person. Okay, so the limit and the duty towards our parents. Okay, let's go. How about for parents, and there are many here. What do we say now regarding their duties to children? Now, this is a baby being caressed by the mother, obviously. First duty of the parents. Maybe it sounds obvious, but they have to say this because it may not be. To receive the children that are sent to them. Receiving them doesn't only refer to receiving them to be alive, but also their temperaments, their character, their ways of life, their decisions that depend on them. To receive them, to accept them of who they are as persons. I think sometimes it's tough, especially I think talking to the many who are attending, who are also in the midst of formation, and I have spoken also to them. It is tough, especially when we know that the decision of our children are not according to God's plan. What do? We bring it to prayer and see how we could accept them in that situation without, quote unquote, giving in to evil. We tolerate it. It's a tough choice. It's a tough decision to make many times. Education is the next. So the parents, and there are many things that could be mentioned here in this portion, have the duty to educate their children. I just put some initials there. Solid, human, and Christian formation. Meaning the virtues really start from the home. And their punctuality in the Mass, Sunday Mass, for example, as a family. On their order at the rooms. No? I know for the parents here, it's very tiring, very tiring it causes stress and fatigue. You have to remind your adolescent kid or any person in that regard, because of disorder, whatever, in his room, etc. So patience there in the formation, in the education. And the best really I would highlight here in terms of the education is the example. The great teacher for the children is our own testimony, our own personal example. The way we live order ourselves, the way we pray. It's very important, especially the mothers here. Maybe you don't notice that, but your children do. The times that you have been living that piety towards God, it will help them in the long run also live that filial piety towards you. The duty here is that they be pious, simple, sincere, and joyful piety. And that's quite important, especially in the younger years. In doing so, not only piety, there is a duty for us to transmit what we know. And that's why these doctrine classes are very good. Because we learn something that we could impart with all naturalness to our kids, to our children, whether they are still young or whether they're already in advanced age. We could somehow insert something we have heard from these means of formation, the transmission of our faith. We nurture them. We nurture them with things that they need. In Hebrew chapter 12, verse 7, it's even highlighted, not to discourage them, yes, as St. Paul has written in other parts, but always to correct them if necessary. At the right time, the right moment, after praying for them. We should inculcate with them that FNR. Now, this is very difficult, I know. Training in freedom, training in responsibility. Responsibility. We should not be afraid of them committing mistakes and even sins. If necessary, at the right time, at the right moment, they will learn. Okay, not to be helicopter parents. No, but that also that they enjoy a certain level of freedom to do things and also to commit mistakes, but always with responsibility. Okay. Affection and firmness. There always has to be what we call an equilibrium. And this is another challenge to many parents, I know, how to balance my sweetness to my children and at the same time, toughness. And there are many other equilibrium that are very important, no? To balance, for example, friendship and patience or vigilance. So I think that is a good point. And last but not the least, actually, if you notice, this is the word parent, EAR, the highest, because this task of parenting is a divine one. It has to be supported by prayer. And what I recommend here is to talk to Jesus about each child, is to converse about the strengths and weaknesses of each soul, of each son, of each daughter. Not only petitioning, but also seeing what is the best way to deal with certain situations involving a son or a daughter of ours. So it has to be the primary one, supernatural. We will not be able to do the good parenting without God. And although we may seem to be on the human plane failures, in God, we will be successful if we have depended on Him, if we have trusted Him. Okay, the next 2 points are very short. That's my duty to the pastor. Well, the shepherds entrusted the flock in the church. And the shepherds are the Pope and all those bishops who are in communion with him. So to the pastor, we are to the pastors, meaning from the bishop, Pope, and then the bishop, and then the parish priest. We have to be very united. Now, what does union mean? union of hearts first and foremost. Understanding what they stand for. Praying for them. I will also mention that. But many Catholics, unfortunately, they don't know their parish priest. And it's good always to know because he's the immediate pastor we have for us. For those children of God in Opus Dei and in the means of formation, there is also another help that we receive, and this is through the help of the prelature of Opus Dei. Not only do we have to pray for the bishop, but also the prelate or the father, and he is Don Fernando Ocari. I hope you have heard of him. In fact, he's celebrating his 50th anniversary, presbyteral anniversary on August 15. He will be 50 years priest this Sunday. So please pray for him because he's my superior actually. I depend a lot on him and I pray for him as well each day. And include me as well there in the prayer and union with the bishop. So we have to pray for them in the Mass. The church has ensured this for us by always mentioning their names. The bishop of the diocese and the pope. If you can, this is a great recommendation also of Saint Maria, we offer a sacrifice for them. Or we call death to ourselves, mortifications. Last but not least, a general attitude, it has to be that of obedience, that of reverence, that of submission. UPS. In relation to pastors, union with them, petition and sacrifice, submission, obedience. Now, it is no secret that they are imperfect. I think you and I have already tantamount a lot of experience about pastors who may not be acting at certain moments in his life. So we have to continue praying for them. We don't spread bad things about them if ever we have learned of one. We don't gossip about them. We don't speak ill of them because they are the shepherds of us, of the flock who is entrusted to them. If there are things you don't agree with certain decisions, just to pray. And then ask in spiritual direction how to harmonize it with our faith. Last but not least, to the statesmen or to the civil authorities. Well, this is not difficult. No? We have to respect the laws and the mandates that were legitimately given to them. We have to be responsible in also in our interventions in the political and in the social life. And we exercise 3 R's only that I wanted to mention here. We have to exercise also that freedom to choose our leaders. In other words, we have the right to vote and we have to exercise it. And the Catechism also mentions this. Now, if you don't have a candidate, you can vote. Sometimes I vote for him a lot, no? Abstain. No? But you have to vote, nevertheless, to exercise that, that right, which also is a duty. I proceed with the last slide. This is just like an annex to what I already mentioned, because it pertains now to the other portion. Now, in relation to the civil authorities, to their constituents, some things regarding the faith highlights are the following. They have to exercise, respect the exercise of freedom of all the citizens. Freedom and responsibility. They have to think about the common good. And this is very difficult, no? Because sometimes it's easy to be tempted at this point. No? The personal interest should be below that common good. Or should be rather subordinated to the good of the nation. And then they also have to respect fundamental right of persons. They cannot just cancel the political right of participation and many others of their constituents. For the bishops, who are also have the duty to take care of us, they exercise this and with the primary goal, primary end, no, This is to save souls. And we will discuss this in other classes, not today, but to exercise it by teaching the Triya Munira, or the three offices. Three offices, meaning the Munus Docendi, preaching. They have to continue praying for us. Although the masses are not in public right now, our priests are offering masses for us, sanctificandi, sanctifying, and then to govern us with charity and all. So the Triya Munira, salvation of souls. This ends my presentation. Thank you for your time. Of course, the family, I go back to the first one, a few slides that I mentioned regarding the family. We have a model for the parents and for the children. And this is the Holy Family. In trying to think how we could be better parents, they think of how Mary and Saint Joseph, Our Lady and Saint Joseph, did it to our Lord. In becoming good children, let's also think how indebted our Lord was, how grateful he was, how appreciative he was of his mother and of his foster father, of his father, Saint Joseph.